Hi, everybody, and welcome to VistaView's Q&A Café, How to Reconcile Company Credit Cards Custom Without Integration in SAP ByDesign. This will be part one with your host, Estelle Ospanova. I'm Catherine, and as per usual, I'll be facilitating today. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure to put them into the questions or the chat boxes, and we will answer them towards the end of the presentation. And don't forget to join us in a couple of weeks here for our next Q&A Cafe. That's going to be on Wednesday, June 30th, for our project management series, Creating and Maintaining the Project, Part 1, Project Plan with Chris Hogan. Also, I also wanted to mention that moving forward in July, we will also be introducing some Business One Q&A cafes. So make sure to stay tuned to our customer comms and also to our website for that. As usual, this session will be recorded, so everyone will remain on mute, but we will send out the recording next week. We're going to start doing that on Mondays and Tuesdays. All right, well, without further ado, I will hand it over to Estelle.
Thank you, Catherine. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Q&A Cafe. My name is Estelle Ospanova. I'm a junior implementation consultant here at VistaView. And just like Catherine mentioned, today I would like to talk about credit card reconciliation. So today I'd like to tackle some of the challenges that our customers are facing when managing credit cards within SAP Business ByDesign. And main of it being that SAP Business ByDesign does not have a credit card clearing system where users can easily upload credit card transactions and clear them. And all the options that I'll be showing you today are semi-manual workarounds. Also, for some of our customers, the accounting team solely handles the credit card management, i.e. meaning that whenever an employee wants to purchase something using company credit card or maybe pay for a transaction using a company credit card, he would just contact the AP person, and AP person would pull out the card and just pay for it. In those cases, the AP clerk would always know, the nature of the expense. He would know which GL account to code that transaction to. However, for many of our customers, they've had the credit cards, or like, let's say virtual credit cards, are handed to the employee's hands, and then at the end of the month, AP clerk might receive a credit card statement, either in a CSV format or maybe in a PDF format, just like I'm showing right now. And the credit card statement would have the amount, would have also the date and some sort of a description, which usually is a vendor's name. And perhaps the AP clerk could sort of infer what the expense relates to, what's the nature of it. So for example, maybe AP clerk knows that the marketing team purchased shirts for the new hires last month. So he knows that this probably, this expense relates to that, and he would know which GL accounts to code it to. However, in other cases, for example, here with Great Expectations, he may not be familiar, it would be very ambiguous for him what this particular transaction relates to. It would be very difficult to know which GL account to code it to. So the AP clerk would actually ask for the employee to give a feedback explaining the nature of the expense. And it would be really nice to have those types of transactions to be sort of hanging in a subledger. And actually, one of the methods that I'm going to show you on how to upload the credit card transactions into the system accounts for that. Also, some of our customers ask their employees to fill out expense reports to explain the charges. However, there's a different functionality within ByDesign when it comes to credit cards and expense reports. And because not many of our customers actually use expense reports, I'll not be covering it today. However, if this is something that interests you, please reach out to us, and we'll be happy to put together another session discussing how credit cards work with expense reports. And another thing to note is that credit card statements usually consist of large volume of transactions with small amounts. It can be downloaded in a CSV format, let's say, or maybe even PDF, just like I showed you. And this actually makes them ideal for Excel upload. So there are three main options that I would like to discuss today on how to manage credit cards within SAP ByDesign. As you might have guessed, they include uploading the transactions using Excel. And the first one of it use the AP upload, meaning that you are uploading the credit card transactions in the form of a supplier invoice into the system using the Excel template, and then clearing them in, against bank statements, just like you would usually do a bank rec. So first of all, for that option to work, you'll have to create a supplier, maybe call it a credit card clearing, or optionally, if you have a few credit cards at your company, you could create a supplier for each of them. That's completely optional and up to you. Second of all, you will have to download the AP upload Excel template to generate some credit card transactions. And one thing to keep in mind is that when you are uploading supplier invoices using the Excel template, the system does not automatically post them. So those invoices would appear under invoices and credit memos view with a status of ready for posting, which actually really plays to your advantage, especially if as an AP clerk, you don't know the the nature of the transaction. You're not sure which GL account to code it to. So it's really nice to have those invoices to sort of be hanging, to those transactions be hanging in the SAP ledger. So after you've received a feedback from the employee about the nature of the expense, you can just go back to that invoice, change the GL account mapping, GL account assignment, and then click on post. So once you've posted them, you will be able to match them and clear against the bank statement. And I assume that most of you on this call know how to do bank recs, how to upload bank statements, so I'll not go too deep into that. And second method, first part of it, where you're uploading the credit card transactions, is identical to option one that I just described. So you will be loading the credit card transactions in the form of a supplier invoice using the Excel template. However, the clearing part happens in PDCash. I'll show you how to do that. And third option is to upload the transactions in the form of a journal entry voucher using Excel. And one thing to note here is that when you are uploading journal entry vouchers using Excel, the system automatically makes postings into accounting. So this particular method could be very efficient and effective for companies where accounting teams solely handle the credit cards. And then I'll show you how to match them and clear them using a bank payment advice. So for option one, there's certain configuration setup that needs to be done beforehand. First of all, you have to create a supplier for the credit card. And optionally, if you have a few credit cards in your company, you definitely can create a supplier for each of them. However, something you might want to keep in mind is the number of transactions that are going through each card. So if it really makes sense to create one supplier for each, or just one for every, there are not that many transactions, right? So that's completely up to you. Also, a second thing to note is that when you are uploading supplier invoices into the system, you are debiting a certain expense GL account, and you are crediting some sort of an AP account. So right now in the system, we are just crediting domestic accounts payable account. However, if you want to credit some sort of a credit card clearing account, you could definitely go ahead and set up a GL liability account called credit card clearing, and then make sure that you also create a account determination group and tie it to this credit card / supplier. Great, so the next step would be to download the supplier invoice Excel template. It's very simple. Just make sure that you have the SAP Business ByDesign add-in for Microsoft Excel downloaded and installed beforehand. And thirdly, you'll just kind of have to test your template to make sure that you understand the GL costing and everything. So with that said, let's jump into the system. And I'll demonstrate you option one. So first of all, we've created a supplier in the system, and we called it credit card clearing. And it's very simple to do. I just want to actually open up the extended view and show you what exactly we set up for the supplier / credit card. So the supplier name is something you want to put. If you want to create a credit card supplier for each credit card, maybe you want to add some sort of a identifier for that card, maybe with Visa 1, 2, 3, 4 or something. At the minimum for the address, you have to put the country. Also, the next setup would be done in financial data tab. You have to specify the company that the credit card belongs to, and the account determination group is gonna drive which GL account the invoice is gonna hit as a credit. So right now, as you can see, the supplier is set up as a domestic affiliated, meaning that the domestic accounts payable account will get credited. However, if you want to set up some sort of a credit card clearing liability account, you can definitely do that. And then make sure that you create a determination group. So once you create it under other liabilities in the account determination groups, you're gonna see it in this dropdown. So you can just select it. And also make sure to put a bank payment method. That really is it. I can just save and close it. So the next step would be to download the supplier invoice template. To do that, I'll go to supplier invoicing, invoice entry view. I'll click on new, and I'll hit the import from Microsoft Excel. This will prompt the download of the Excel template for uploading supplier invoices. Just make sure that you have the SAP Business ByDesign add-in beforehand installed. And if you don't have the add-in, you can always download it from the download center in the self-service overview. So let me just open up this template. I know it looks a bit intimidating. There are tons of columns, but don't be intimidated. It's pretty simple as soon as you understand the mechanics of it. And just thing to note is that each row corresponds to one invoice. So here, and whatever the information there is on the invoice is just gonna get populated on only one row. So as you might remember, when you're creating AP invoices, you have to add, you can add items. So this, and really all these columns corresponds to different sort of properties on an item level. But the good news is that because for credit card transactions, for each transaction, you just kind of have to load one supplier invoice with just one item. So which will be just the same, that credit card transaction. So you won't even have to fill out any properties for item 2, etc., etc. And the reason why this template is so long is because I think it allows you to have like 32 items under one invoice, something like that. So the next step would be to start populating your template. To do that, navigate to the SAP ByDesign add-in, click on this tab. Make sure to log into the system. So the URL is the first part of the link to your system. For example, here, this would be departmental.com. Make sure it corresponds to the one that you want to log into, and just log in as you would normally do. And once you're logged in, the log on button should change to log off and should be green. Great, and now you're ready to populate the template. So if you don't remember the ID of the company, you can always hit lookup. And if nothing pops up, I just usually click on search and all the companies pop up. So this is the company I want to code it to. Just for time's sake, today I've already pre-populated a template. So as you can see, each row corresponds to a different sort of a credit card transaction. And as an AP clerk, you'll probably receive some sort of a credit card statement at the end of the month, which may be in a PDF format, but it may also be in a CSV format. And it actually makes it ideal for just copying and pasting. We have to manipulate it first, just a little bit, so that it's easier to copy and paste it to the Excel template. To do that, I'll just select all the rows. So go to Data tab, click on Text to Columns, and just try to delimit. So whatever the information in between the columns, in between the commas, I want them to appear on separate commas, so it's easier to copy them. Then here, I'm gonna click on a comma, next and finish. great. That's why CSV files are really nice for manipulating, actually. So here, I'm going to copy the date and put it here, for example, into the template. Actually post it as a value to make sure I'm not messing up the template. And for the external document ID, we would advise to just put the vendor's name, just like they appear on the credit card statements. However, I definitely have seen our clients using some sort of a description of that expense, just like here. Whatever makes sense to you. If you feel like that's better and more understandable for you, you can definitely do that. So I'll just also copy this date to the receipt date as well. So great. Now we have all the information. So another thing to note is like you can put a cross value. If you are a Canadian company and you want to collect your GST separately, you can definitely put them here as well. Usually that's not the case for the US company. For the invoice entry, you can just click on net with type. That's on the item level already, but because each credit card transaction corresponds to just one invoice, you can just go ahead and copy them. So I just copied really product description that it's on the main invoice and on the item level too, just here. Tax code, for the purposes of this demo, I put it as non-tax. I'll show you where in the system the template is taking it from, the number one tax code. And also you want to put the net value and make sure that the assignments are correct. So here, coded to GL account, if certain expenses are known, for example, like here, not sure, I'm just coding it to this account. I'll pretend that it's a sort of a temporary account where unknown transactions could be hanging in. So whenever I received a feedback from an employee, and when I'm certain which GL account to code it to, I can just go back into the invoice and change it from there. And also you can assign a cost center. Just remember that if you're putting both GL account assignment will overwrite the cost center assignment. Just let's hop back into the system really quickly. I'll show you where exactly those data and codes are taken from. So if I go to a new invoice without a purchase order, for example, for supplier, I'm just going to choose the supplier that we created for credit card clearing. And that's the supplier ID that the system that gets populated on the template. And for example, that's the external document ID that I put. It's either vendor's name or maybe perhaps a description of the expense itself. Should put the invoice date. And for the tax code and an item level, this is the ID that gets populated on the template. So I put non-taxable for the purposes of today's demo. For the GL account assignment, this is the code that gets populated on the template as well. So whatever you think the correct GL account to be coded to, you can just sort of get either memorize maybe the ID or something and put it into template. And also you can choose a cost center as the assignment type. So let's go back to the template and try to push the data into ByDesign system. To do that, I'll click on the Add In tab and click on Save Data To. So this is going to take a little while, but what we are expecting to see is that, as I mentioned earlier, the supplier invoices, when uploading them via Excel template, they don't get posted yet. They will rather appear with the status of ready for posting, meaning that you can still make changes to it. Maybe you can change a GL account once you're certain about the nature of the expense, and then you can post it later on. Just give it a couple more seconds. Okay, so that's the status bar, status notification. So it says that it's been loaded successfully. Great. So let's just go back into the system. I'll go to the invoices and credit memos view, and I should see those transactions. As you can see, these 5 transactions loaded as ready for posting status. So afterwards, click on edit, and then on the item level, can invoke the information for the account assignment. And if I'm certain that these accounts are correct, I can just go ahead and post them. Okay. Alternatively, you can actually, I think, holding Control, just select them all and click on Post as well. I'll just give it a couple of seconds. Great. So now we can see the status is posted. And for the clearing part, the second part, you would just clear it against the bank statement. You would do that just like you would regularly upload the bank statement, and just how you do the bank rec. You will go to the Liquidity Management Work Center. I'll just show you quickly. You have a bank statement here, so whatever you've loaded will show here. Click on View and just follow the wizard really to clear out the transactions. The transaction should appear here, and then just finish and close it. That's it for option 1. Let's jump back to the slides, and let's look at the option 2, which is also uploading credit card transactions in the form of supplier invoices, but then clearing them in petty cash. So to do that, there's some configuration setup as well needs to be done. So first of all, you have to set up your credit cards in petty cash. To do that, you have to create a GL account for the credit card, and also set up a GL determination group, and then tie it to that petty cash / credit card. Second step would be to perform the supplier invoice upload using the Excel, just like I showed you just now in option 1. So you'd have to create a supplier for the credit card and also download the template and populate it. And third would be to clear the payment within the petty cash view. One thing to note is the drawback to clearing your transactions in a petty cash, in a sense that petty cash cannot go negative, meaning that you have to build up your transactions first. You have to also transfer money from your main account to the petty cash, and then only you can do outgoing payment with reference to items that will draw down that balance to 0. I'll show you shortly what I mean by that. Let's jump into the system. So let's get into the petty cash. I'll navigate to payment management, go to petty cash. I already have some petty cash set up here. As you can see, the balance amount is 0. But if I go back to my statement, the amount that I'm gonna put from my main account to the petty cash is going to equal to the statement amount. So I would actually advise an AP clerk to do this maybe once a month, once you receive the credit card statement. So for example, I'm gonna put this amount here by clicking on New and Incoming Cash Transfer. Put the amount as the statement. Maybe you could put a description, May, and a bank account that should be transferring the money from. That could be a main bank account. Click on Post. So now we should see the balance going up to 125.24, which is the amount of your credit card statement. And now I will be able to clear each transaction to draw this balance down to 0. So I will click on New and Reference to Items. And here I will look for that credit card clearing supplier that I just created the invoices for. So all the transactions that we have loaded just now in the previous option 1 using the Excel template should appear here. So the only thing is just to match them really. So make sure that click on all, or you can actually alternatively click here to just select them all. So you can see the amount which is equal to the payment amount. Click on post, and now what I should see is that the balance for this P account should be drawn to 0. It's 0. Great. So now that the domestic AP account was cleared and the money went into the cash disbursement. Let's jump into the slides again, and there's one more option that I want to discuss with you today is uploading your credit card transactions in the form of a journal entry voucher using Excel. And one thing to note is you're probably familiar with journal entry voucher upload. When you are uploading JVs using Excel, the system automatically makes postings into GL accounts. So this would be actually very efficient for companies where the accounting team solely handles the credit cards. So AP Credit would always know which GL account to go to, and by just uploading JVs using Excel, he will make automatic postings to those GL accounts. For the journal entry to voucher to work, so first of all, you'll be debiting that expense account and you'll be crediting something else. So for that something else, for the credit part, you could actually set up some sort of a other asset type of a GL account, maybe call it a credit card clearing. And also you'll have to have a account determination group set up for it as well. Make sure that it is available for non-cash transactions. And second of all, you'll just download the journal entry voucher template and make sure that you test the template to understand the GL posting.
So let's jump into the system and I'll show you how option 3 would work. First of all, I wanted to show you that GL account that will be credited. So I created that GL account beforehand. So you're probably very familiar how journal entry vouchers work in the system. You would, at the minimum, you would have to indicate 2 accounts, one GL account that will be debited as a result of a journal entry voucher upload. So for credit card transactions, you probably debit some sort of an expense account. Yeah, choose this one. You would indicate the debit amount here. And second, you have to choose the offsetting GL account. It will be credited. For this purpose, I already created a credit card clearing account. And I also made sure to create a determination group and tied it to the account, and also made the determination group available for non-cash transactions, because I will actually need to see this particular account and I'll be clearing it out of as a result of a bank payment advice. I'll show you how to do that in a couple of minutes. So as a next step, let's go and download our template for journal entry voucher upload. So if you go to General Ledger Workcenter and Journal Entry Vouchers view, you can click on New and choose Journal Entry Voucher for Microsoft Excel. This will prompt the download of Microsoft Excel template for journal entry voucher upload. Again, make sure you have the SAP ByDesign. I didn't download it and installed beforehand. So if I open it up, it is quite simple. So you can see there's just 2 rows for the GL accounts. It's the one where you'll be putting the debit side and credit side. But actually, if all of the, if the offsetting account is just 1, you can actually list out all of the other GL accounts that will be debited, just like I did here. So I'm just debiting different accounts. However, they will be offset by just 1 account. So I can actually list them all out. They would represent each credit card transaction. And I'm just putting the offsetting account that will be credited here. That's the credit card Visa 2B14 account that I created specifically for this purpose. So, and here for the credit amount, you can just use some formula. That's what I did. I just summed all the debit amounts. Right now, let's push this journal entry voucher into the system by clicking Save Data To. Give it a couple of minutes. So what we're expecting is automatic posting to these accounts. go back to the system. I'll refresh the journal entry about review. And here you can see this is the last one that I created. So all of the expense accounts get debited, and my credit card clearing account has a credit now. And so the second part of this option is to create a bank payment advice. That would be the clearing part. To do that, I'll go to Liquidity Management Work Center and navigate to New Bank Payment Advice task. So here, make sure to change your advice type to bank debit advice. And also you have to tick off the posting advice checkbox, because if you don't, this bank payment advice would be just considered as a notice of future payment without any postings made to GL accounts, which we don't want. And choose direct debit for payment method. For the payment in amount, let's just navigate back to our journal entry voucher. And for the debit amount, the final amount that was credited before as a result of a journal entry should be selected. So I'll just copy it and I'll put it right here. And also I'm gonna choose the bank account that I'm gonna be paying for this from. It's gonna be Bank Cleveland in my case. I'll also make sure to post this as a direct posting to GL accounts. So here in a GL account dropdown, I'm going to select that GL account that I created for credit card clearing purposes, and I'll insert the amount I'd like to clear here. Click on release. And that's it. Our credit card transactions have been cleared successfully.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, just let us know. You can always email us. Hope this was helpful. So I'll just give the mic back to Catherine. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Asal. Thank you so much for hosting. That was fantastic. As Asal mentioned, if you do have any questions, please feel free to follow up with us. And the recording will be out within a couple of days here. Again, don't forget to join us on Wednesday, June the 30th for Chris Hogan's next iteration in the project management series. Thank you all again for your time. Thanks again to Asal for hosting. We'll see you guys again in a couple of weeks.